Stifler here. Stifler asks everyone to rate their own looks on a scale of 1 to 10. You cannot pick 7. Rate your own looks, scale of 1 to 10, starting with Ayla.
4.6.
4.6. Is there anything past the 6, like a 333, like repeating, of course?
No, they're probably, but I don't know the number.
You don't? Okay. What, Candace, what about you?
Oh my gosh, I want to participate in this game. There's no
It's
winning.
not a game.
There's no winning this answer.
There is definitely winning. You can win. You can win, Candace. You got to give us something.
I'm not participating.
Throw out a number.
So would that infer then?
Because if it's too low,
I say I'm a 3. That means I lost the game.
Wait, what was the question?
Correct.
I say I'm a 3. That means I lost the game.
Yeah, I guess.
Is that what that would mean? Who did I lose to?
I guess you're breaking the rule.
She's losing to the Whatever podcast.
Yeah.
Yeah, this I think does require a little bit of clarification. So I think that a lot of the people who beat up on the Whatever podcast about this question, I think it's kind of silly. So the idea is we're just trying to judge delusion, right? So you would probably say beauty subjective, this type of thing.
Wait,
sure.
I have to do this. I'll let you get right back to it.
Okay, yeah. No.
I need to get the other answers before we get into it. What about you?
Can't pick 7. I'll go 6.
Okay. What about you?
I'm giving myself an 8, especially considering I'm 43.
Go ahead.
Girl.
Okay, and you can't pick 7.
Yeah.
I'll go 6.
Okay.
With or without makeup?
Just how about with and without?
He's going to bring out the baby wipes too.
Yeah.
I do have
I'll
them.
take it off. I don't know. Tonight I'm feeling myself, so I'll give myself an 8.
That's with makeup?
Yeah.
And then without makeup?
Like a 4.
Okay. What about you?
I'll say 6.
My sister's a 10.
Okay. What about you?
We can't pick 7, so I guess 8.
Okay, I give myself a 5. Andrew, what about you?
Well, I mean, there's actually some pretty good honesty on this panel, I think. So I'll actually give you the actual rating. I would give myself about a 4, maybe a 5.
Yeah. Andrew, didn't mean to cut you off there. Andrew, didn't mean to cut you off there. I just wanted to get the answers from the rest of the panel before we...
Yeah, well, this is something you see from feminists often. They want to be very hypercritical of the idea of the rating, right? And they're like, well, it's nebulous. It's like, not really. I think people understand it pretty well. What you're asking is the self-obsessed, or how do I phrase this right? The self-assessment. Is the self-assessment mapping onto reality or isn't it? Right? So when you say...
did a survey on this specifically that's to see how delusional people are.
Calm down with your surveys. I know, but calm down.
But I know how delusional people are.
Yeah, they are. I mean, it's true, right?
Yeah, about like 2.5 points.
The thing is like, they often actually will lie and know that they're lying if there's a social group around them which reinforces that lie, right? So if there's no judgment going towards them from the people around them, they'll actually lie, often on purpose, because it's reinforced. Now, this is notoriously true of women in a room, but not notoriously true of men. They tend to not really do that because the man next to them will be like, what the fuck are you talking about? You're fat. Or the man next to him will be like, what the fuck are you talking about, dude? You got half your face is missing. Or what are you talking about? Your teeth are jacked up, right? They'll instantly look at each other and just beat the holy hell out of each other. They'll be like, dude, you're full of shit. And it's obvious you're full of shit. But for women, they don't actually do that. They'll actually reinforce things they don't believe themselves. So, for instance, let me ask a question to the entire panel just to kind of demonstrate this. Have any of you women, do you agree that when women are around each other, they judge each other all the time, nonstop, that this happens constantly, that women will judge each other on looks, on outfits, on all sorts of different things, on which eyelashes are better, which makeup is better? They don't say it out loud, but you're just judging it in your head. Do you agree that women do this?
Do you not do that with everybody? Yeah.
I think both men and women do that.
I'm not saying that men and women don't do it.
I try really hard to practice.
That's the question. Do you agree that women do this?
In a form of comparison?
Just like anyone else.
Yeah, okay, great. So can we agree then, by a show of hands, that women do this? Do women judge each other constantly?
constantly?
Well, I don't know about
I-
constantly,
I
but
try to practice not being judgmental. It's
Yeah.
really hard to do, but you know, it's a
Okay, well, let me
something to
ask you a
learn.
different way. Raise your hand if you've ever sat at a table with women and judged them.
Definitely.
Raise your hand. Okay, so that's everybody here, right? Now, raise your hand if you sat down at this table and judged any other women.
and judge the women here.
One person.
Yeah.
It depends on what you mean by judge.
I know
Maybe.
the judgment
You're
sounds.
judging their looks. Their looks is what I mean. You judge
Yeah.
their
Sounds
looks,
negative.
their
I think
makeup,
it's-
their
I think it's
dress,
like a
their
concept
this,
in
their
your
that.
head
So
that you're-
anyway, so real quick, I'll ask again. Now that you know what judgment means in this context.
No, I don't.
Oh, you don't. Okay. So
No, I just
you're
want to clarify.
judging-
Legitimately,
You're
I think
judging whether or not their makeup looks good or doesn't look good, or if they should have worn a different outfit or should have worn a different
Oh,
outfit,
see,
et cetera, et
no.
cetera.
I haven't had
No.
any of those
You're
thoughts.
making a judgment of beauty standards.
No, for me, it would not be judgment. It would be more comparison. It would not be, oh, they should have worn
That's
this.
a
or that.
judgment.
No,
Yeah, that's a
there's,
judgment.
yes, it is. You're correct. Comparison is a form of judgment. But what you're talking about is much more harsh of like, ew, like, versus like, oh, they look nicer than
Yeah,
I
like,
do.
I
or
like that
something
top.
Oh, like, so there's,
Sure, yeah.
that's
yeah,
all I'm
you
saying.
can-
There is some nuance to
do
what
it
you're
that way
saying.
and say that you think, okay, well then let me ask it that way. Raise your hand if you sat down at the table and thought that there was a woman at the table who looked better than you. Okay, great. Raise your hand if you sat down at the table and thought there was another woman there who looked worse than you. So wait a second. So then how come it was when I asked if you sat down and judged the other women at the table, none of you showed your fucking hands?
But
That
you
depends
have
what
like
you mean by judge.
a
If you said
trillion
comparison,
thoughts a
yeah.
day. It's not.
I mean, it's that simple every single time, right?
No, it's not. Like judge means a couple of things. Sometimes there's like a sensation
it's
of
a couple
disdain.
things.
No, listen. Sometimes there's a sensation of disdain, and this is what people refer to when they say the word judge. And sometimes it means like sort of evaluation, like you're checking your position in the hierarchy, and definitely the latter, but not the former. And I just didn't know which one you were talking about.
As well, sometimes
Well,
I
you
have.
seem a lot less confused now.
Why
Yes,
is it a
because you
woman thing
clarified.
though anyway? Men
That's
do
how it
this
works.
constantly
Yeah.
too, so I guess I'm a little confused as to why this is a female
It's
thing.
not.
you're pointing
It's not
out.
whether
Oh,
or not.
what's
it's a
your point
woman
then?
thing
Who do you
Hang
think
on,
is your
hang
looks
on.
match?
Hang on,
Here.
chill out. Let me answer one question at a
Andrew's
time. Calm
freaking out.
down. So I answer hers first, and I'll move to yours. So I asked this question, right? Raise your hand if you judge women. So well, okay. What do you mean by judgment? I clarified that. And he said, well, not all the time. So then I asked this follow-up question. I ask you, well, raise your hand if you judged a woman at the table. You say, none of you raise your hand. Then I say, well, raise your hand if you sat down at the table and thought that another woman who was there was more attractive than you, and you all raised your hand. Therefore, all of you are admitting you made a judgment, so you all fucking lied, every one of you.
But I also.
Your logic stream isn't very good.
Also, on the way here, I had a thought
Yeah,
to.
I think it's fine. I think it's pretty
It's
good.
not though. It really
Yeah,
isn't.
it is,
Would you like me to explain how it's not?
I can't wait to hear it.
Okay, well, basically, you said the word judge, and then it was kind of unclear what you meant, and then I would have raised your hand if you had said the thing that you meant, but you didn't, and then
That's pure cope. So I did.
It
I
isn't.
did actually reiterate what I meant, and I said I was judging based on beauty standards. For you're making your assessment about beauty standards, which you then later admitted you were.
I am very
So the
happy
thing
to
is
admit.
what you're doing now is an even lower tier form of pedantry, because you can rewind the tape and see that I specifically with you specifically clarified exactly what I meant. The rest of the panel heard it, and then that's when I asked the follow-up
You
question.
didn't.
So
You did
nobody
not
was
clarify.
confused.
You said
Not only
words
did
that were not the
only
thing that
did
you
I
asked later.
clarify, but I was so hyper-specific.
You were not
that when I
hyper-specific.
asked the follow-up question, everybody knew what I meant, including you.
Yeah, the follow-up question was a great specificity. I really like the
And
follow-up
that's
question.
when we found out the two things, didn't we?
If you would like to say that checking yourself in the hierarchy is judgment, I'm very happy to agree that I judge people. I'm not
Great.
I'm not fighting over the word. I just really wanted to understand what you meant.
Yeah, I don't think you were confused about what I meant.
I was. I
And
am reporting that very honestly.
We were further able to demonstrate that by me clarifying, and then the second that I
No,
did,
you did
answer
not.
the question the same exact way as every other woman on the panel. It doesn't seem like you.
I think you are being dishonest in the way that you are arguing. I'm very happy to admit your point, but it feels like you sort of want to act like I'm being trapped in some sort of like verbal corner, which I don't think is really what's happening. But I'm happy to
Well,
say
I know
that I judge
know
things
that you don't
according to
think
your
that.
definition.
In my world, though, what we call that is cope, and welcome to cope. Because that's what you're doing. You're coping. But it's okay for you to cope. Listen, it's all right for you to cope. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's true. I logically navigated you through this. I know it's difficult for you to admit, right? But it is the case.
Yeah.
What I'm showing is that I'm demonstrating that all of you fucking lied to me, and I don't even blame you, right?
Sure.
I understand the
If
reason.
we expand our definition of lying, then sure.
I
There's
did
a
not.
reason. There's a reason why all of you did that, and
I did
the
not.
reason is because it's very easy for women in social circles. If one woman lies and the rest of them reinforce the lie, for them to continue with the lie. Men seem to be more commonly men seem to call out when men are telling lies, right? They go, no, that's fucking bullshit. What do you, like, men would be laughing at each other. If like, let's say a man was sitting in chair 1, which is a panel of men, and the man was like, oh, I'm a 10. The other dudes at the table would be like, what the fuck are you talking? They would start ribbing him immediately. Doesn't work the same way with women. That's why
I agree
the
with
answers
you.
are so bizarre from our view. We're like, what the fuck are they talking about?
I agree that women are significantly more like responsive to social pressure and much more likely to lie to each other about their appearance. I think this is true. It's like kind of weird because like your end goal is something that I don't actually think is that off. It's
I
just
know, you
I feel like we.
want to argue with me to argue. I get it.
I don't think I really like arguing for arguing's sake.
Well, I mean, that's arguing for argument's sake.
Do you know what you're saying? Or are you like an argument LLM?
What's an LLM?
A large language model.
What's a large language model?
A large language model is like a predictive text algorithm, like trained on specific stuff. I would like to give you props to asking. I think some people would sort of disguise when they don't know things, but I think that was like a high integrity
I never
move.
do. I always want to know exactly what I'm talking about before I talk about it, which just proves your previous.
But I would like to say that I would like to admit when you are good at things and then also say when I think that you are bad, and I think that was a good move, and I'm trying to be consistent according to my principles.
Great. And consistently, I'm really good at what I do. And this has been proven now to you multiple times. You got caught in the trap the same way everybody else did, for the same reason everybody else did.
I did not.
Because you lied. And so because you lied, you got caught in the same trap. That's the way it works.
You have an interesting definition of lying, but if we given your definition of lying, then sure, we can say that we lied.
What do you think my definition of lying is? You haven't even asked.
Okay, could I ask, what is your definition of lying?
Why did you make the claim about whether or not I was lying?
I had an assumption about what you meant.
Not even asking for it before you said that I was.
That was probably an error. Could you tell me what you mean by lying?
Probably was. What's that?
Could you tell me what you mean by lying?
Yeah, sure. Whatever your definition is, we'll go with that.
My definition is like knowing, like having a belief and then saying something contrary to that belief.
Oh, perfect.
Like
Okay,
intentionally.
Yeah, you were lying.
It does not describe my internal state.
Yeah, no, I think it externally did, because what happened was you got clarification on a question. After you got the clarification on the question, you answered the exact same way that everybody else did, because previously you were asking
That's how
the
it
exact
works.
question that everybody understood, including you. You gave a different answer.
I did not
You were
understand
lying.
it.
You were doing something inconsistent with your internal state.
I was not doing anything. I got clarification on a question and then updated my answer. That seems like pretty good norms to me, pretty good communication norms.
I mean, to me and most regular people, they would just call that a lie, but okay, fair enough.
All right, I have two chats coming in here. We have Jason Cassell, Chair 4, so you would be okay with your daughter selling herself so a bunch of degens can get off? Do you even realize how horrible that is and why that makes you a horrible mother? Be a better mother? You're quick, do you want to respond?
No, I have no response.
Into the mic if you can, but
No, I have no response. I don't
no
feel the
comment.
need to validate my motherhood to anyone.
Okay. All right. Thank you, Jason. We have Lucas here. The talking point that Andrew only beats up on meek women is patently false. He debated Cenk Uygur on Piers Morgan, infamous atheist, Matt Dillahunty, Dave Smith, Destiny, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, we already established it. I did the bow and everything. And
She did
again,
the bow.
I didn't know about your other show until we all did the circle intros. So again, I
Okay.
apologized.
Oh, yeah. It's all good. Thank you, Lucas. Do appreciate the message. All right. Let's, the rating thing really quick. No, I don't think there were like 10s here, right?
No, none of us said 10.
Maybe like 8s, a couple 8s or something, but okay. And then just one last thing on this. Actually, Candace, you kind of like refused to answer it.
Right, because
Like it's stupid or.
I don't like that. You can say attractive or unattractive, right? I'll answer that one. But I think when you do a number,
So binary.
I
Like, yes or
would
no?
prefer that because, and I think Andrew is trying to he keeps hinting that I'm a feminist. I'm really not. Like, there's not a bucket I'm gonna go in.
Oh, you know what? That's fair. I'm not going to hint. You are a feminist.
I'm okay. That's fine. I wouldn't.
But I just didn't want you. I didn't want you to think it's being around the bush,
No, that's
or
fine.
trying to make inferences or implications that weren't there. I'll just flat
Call
out
it.
say it.
Got it.
You definitely are a feminist.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, that's okay. That's your perspective. Putting a number onto it, you're going to have most women that are going to either, like Ayla said, there's going to be a disproportionate amount of people that are delusional and look at themselves like a really high number. But then you're going to also have the ones that are see it as a trap. So they're going to go, I'm going to be modest and go low so that no one thinks I'm egotistical. Like, there's no winning by picking a number, essentially. Like, either like, oh, she picked low because she doesn't want us to know that she's a narcissist, or she picked high, look how delusional she is. It's
Well,
just not a game I'm interested in.
What if she picked a number that was, if you polled 1,000 people, was fairly commensurate with what those people polled and what she actually
That could be
thinks?
accurate, and if it was
Like, what if she thinks she's a 6, and then a bunch of people, some give her a 7, some give her a 5, a bunch of people give her a 6. I don't know if that would be losing. I mean, if she thinks she's a 6 and nobody's like, oh, okay, oh, you're overrating yourself. Like, we don't like typically, like, it's when a girl who's clearly not a 10 claims 10. Like, otherwise, if like a girl's like ranks herself like 1 point higher, we don't be like, I don't care, whatever.
Well, yeah, and then the feminist nod was like, he was like, beauty is saying that I was going to think that beauty is subjective, and to a point, if you're talking about art or something, sure, but I think when you're talking about a person, there's the golden ratio. People are usually attractive or not attractive across the board, and then there's, both ends of the spectrum that'll be exceptions to that rule. But yes, I think that beauty traditionally is objective. So that was just a false.
Yeah, I mean, I guess the reason we asked the question is because I think in the dating marketplace, you need to have a sense of where you stand in it. Like, if you have a house and you think it's worth $5 million, you put it on the market says this is $1 million, you're not going to sell the house. And I'm not saying that women are houses, it's purely an analogy, but I do think that there is something going on whereby, I mean, if you look at a woman's Instagram, for example, all her friends are gassing her up in the comments. Oh my God, you're so beautiful, blah, 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 blah. You're amazing, slay queen, etc. This woman could be fairly, I'm not saying this to be mean to this hypothetical woman, she could be completely unremarkable, not particularly attractive, she could be just average, right? Women tend to gas each other up. And there's another component here that I think is really interesting, is that like, if I approach a girl, and let's say she's just like obviously more physically attractive than me, I'm getting instantly rejected. Like, I don't.
Not with me.
Huh?
Not with me.
Not with. Okay, Lily, chill out, man. But no, if a guy steps to a girl who's just like out of his league. And you can consider league looks, but you can consider other things too. And I think it is other things too.
Especially with men, yeah.
Just looks. But if a guy steps to a girl that's out of his league, instant, like nothing. He doesn't get a conversation, he doesn't get a date, he doesn't get a kiss, he doesn't get sex. The same isn't really true for women though. If as a woman, you step to a guy who's outside of your league, whether it's on a dating app, you slide into his DMs or at a bar or whatever, and you are, in essence, in the same way that men are like enthusiastically wanting to have sex with you, if you as a woman make yourself sexually available to a man, they'll take up that opportunity. Not all men will, but a lot of men will take up an opportunity to have sex with a woman who's enthusiastic and interested. But they'll get rejected on the back end. Men get rejected on the front end. Like I say, if I step to like a 10 out of 10, I ain't getting anything from her. Whereas women, if she's maybe average looking, if she steps to a guy who's 7, 8, 9, she's not going to get every single good guy who's a 7, 8, or 9. She might end up sleeping with 1 or 2 or 3, maybe multiple times. She'll get 1, 2, 3 hookups. Maybe he'll even keep her around in a situationship for 3 to 6 months. She'll never get commitment. Women get rejected on the back end. And so what ends up happening, though, is, I mean, if you have these women who are getting sexual access and they feel like they're so close to getting that relationship with that really attractive guy, oh man, and they keep chasing after him, a couple things happen. One, they are getting that sexual satisfaction with somebody who's out of their league. how are they gonna feel when the guy who's actually willing to give them commitment, they're gonna be less attracted to him? The sex is not gonna be as exciting, or she's not gonna be as immersed in the sexual experience. She's gonna be thinking about like this other really hot dude, or like the 10, 20 other really hot dudes that she had casual sex with that just were unwilling to give her a relationship. And so what ends up happening, well, a couple things end up happening. She has an overestimated sense of her looks because she, oh, okay, I can sleep with a guy who's an 8 or a 9, ergo, I must be an 8 or 9. No, not how it works. Sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. The W for the woman is commitment.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's your league, the guy who's willing to give you commitment.
Mm-hmm.
Just because a guy's willing to sleep with you one night, if he's a 9, that doesn't make a woman a 9. But so what ends up happening is you got these women, they go out, it's really easy to get sexual access to men who are more attractive than you. We see this all the time with like famous actors, musicians, athletes. They'll like gladly sleep with like a woman who doesn't match up to them in any regard. Like an average woman can, like, maybe not average, but like they can get with an NFL player. We have like 19-year-old college girl who's like just attractive. We've had them on the show. They've hooked up with NFL players, NBA players. Maybe you guys have your own experiences where you've like been DM'd by like famous musicians or athletes or actors. Some of you live in LA. You know, like these men, like you have access to these men. Are they gonna give you commitment? Not necessarily. How are you gonna go like date Leonardo DiCaprio and then end up with like a normal dude? Like your brain is totally fried. Like I don't think, in the same way that if you lived in a luxury apartment and then you're gonna go live in a dorm room with 3 other people and share a bathroom, and it's really hard to like have that certain level of treatment or experience when these women are dating really attractive men, and then be like, oh, okay, here's the guy who's actually here's the cohort of men who are actually willing to commit to me, but they don't like, they're not as attractive as the men who are willing to sleep with me. They don't have as much status as these men who are willing to sleep with me. So I do think having a reasonable assessment of your own physical attractiveness would like indicate, is it really a good idea that I go fuck like this rock star, and then I'm gonna be like completely sexually dissatisfied with like Joe Schmo, average guy? Because like most average women are not attracted to average men. That's my position. Maybe you disagree. I don't know.
You've heard women talk about having this experience? You've heard women talk about having this experience, like when they're trying to date,
I've
and then
had thousands of women who've come on the show and they're like completely average, and they're like, oh yeah, this famous guy's like in my DMs, and like I dated XYZ, I dated an NFL player, I did an NBA player.
Yeah.
They have that experience. And
I was just curious about the difficulty finding commitment part.
Well, what I'm saying is like when it comes to female hypergamy, is they can find commitment, but the men, it's like, how often do you hear women say something like, oh, the guy that I like, he doesn't like me, and the guys that like me, I don't like them. Like those are the guys who are willing to give them commitment. So they can find commitment, they just don't want it with those guys. They're continuously chasing after these men, and from like 18 to 30, they'll be chasing after these men, and like situationship, one night stand, friends with benefits, boom, boom, boom. I'm not saying this is the case for all women. Plenty of women throughout their 20s will be in long-term relationships. But like this is the experience of a lot of women, and then ultimately when they're 30, they're like, oh, okay, I'm gonna get married now, and then they're just totally dissatisfied with the men who are actually willing to commit to them because they spent like their 20s fucking these like NFL, NBA players and so forth. And I'm using that as an extreme example, but it could just be like the like really attractive guy in your college that all the girls want.
Yeah. I think I was just checking if this was like a specific anecdote that you had, or more like theory, general observation you'd noticed over like extrapolating.
I mean, this is something that I think is observed in the dating marketplace. I mean, the statistics from the dating apps seem to indicate this, that women are overwhelmingly swiping on like the top 10% of men on dating apps.
Yeah, I know. I think this is definitely true. I think I was just curious. I'm trying to figure out how much of a bubble I'm in, basically. So I was just curious, like, if the thing was a general thing, like you have access to the same information I have, or if you're like, yeah, I've been talking to this women, and they're like, wow, I was trying to find a relationship when I'm 30, but I fucked all these really incredible guys, and like, why can't I find a man as good as I was fucking?
Well, I mean, do you think that this could be a phenomenon where, like, once you've experienced a certain level of treatment, or like dated a certain like caliber of guy, it's kind of like hard to be like, and maybe you do end up settling with that other guy, but like in the dark recesses of your mind, you're like still like, oh man, this guy was better in like this dimension. Maybe it's the guy he was really generous, or he's really good in bed, big dick, whatever it is. Like, he's really tall, really good looking, status, he took me on all these trips. And then you start creating an amalgamation of like all the like most amazing characteristics that like 10 different guys who you dated all have. And you're like, okay, I need that in one dude.
Yeah, I think it's a plausible theory.
Okay.
I think there might be some other theories that explain what's going on, but I genuinely really don't know which one's the right one.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's all kinds of ways to approach like the dating marketplace and everything that's going on.
Yeah.